Ever imagine yourself analyzing fabrics, like under a microscope, or maybe geeking out over thread counts?
Okay.
You might be surprised to learn that's just a taste of what a textile quality technician actually does.
Right.
In this deep dive, we're going, beyond the surface of this career, and we're using insights from RoleCatcher.
Okay.
So get ready to unravel what this job really entails.
Get ready for some serious aha moments. This isn't your grandma's sewing circle. We're talking high-tech equipment, cutting-edge analysis.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But let's back up for a second.
Sure.
Most people probably think this job is all about like inspecting seams and checking for loose threads.
Right.
Tell me more about this high-tech side you mentioned.
So imagine this. You walk into a textile lab, right? And it is buzzing with activity. Microscopes are humming, machines are testing tensile strength, and technicians are like meticulously analyzing data.
Wow.
They're like textile detectives. They uncover the secrets hidden within the very fibers of the materials.
Textile detectives? I like that. It sounds like this job requires like a really unique blend of scientific knowledge, but then also problem-solving skills.
Exactly. And that's where those critical thinking skills come in, right? RoleCatcher really emphasizes that it's not enough to simply identify a problem. You need to understand the why behind it.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, why is a particular fabric tearing? Is it the weave? Is it the fiber content? Or is it something else entirely? This is where things get really interesting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So we're talking about analyzing data, conducting experiments, and really getting to the root of these quality issues. It's a far cry from just like running your fingers over a piece of cloth.
Precisely. And don't forget the communication aspect of it, too. A textile quality technician really needs to be able to articulate their findings clearly.
Oh.
Whether they're writing these detailed reports or they're presenting their analysis to colleagues, working directly with those production teams to actually implement solutions.
So not only are they textile detectives, but they're also expert communicators, kind of bridging the gap between the lab and the factory floor.
Spot on. And here's another layer of complexity. The textile industry is constantly evolving.
Right.
New technologies, new materials are emerging all the time. So textile quality technicians need to be, lifelong learners, always eager to expand that knowledge base.
That makes perfect sense. They need to stay ahead of the curve to make sure that quality standards are met in this dynamic field. RoleCatcher actually breaks down the key skills needed, and some of them surprised me.
Yeah?
They highlighted critical thinking, reading comprehension, science, writing skills, all equally important at 59%.
Yeah, those are crucial, absolutely. To really excel in this field, you need a solid foundation in those areas. But it's not just about textbook knowledge, is it?
Right.
You also need to know how to apply those skills in a practical setting.
Which is where those hands-on lab experiences come in. RoleCatcher mentioned internships or co-op programs as being really, really valuable. It's one thing to, read about textile testing.
Right.
But it's another thing entirely to actually do it.
Exactly. And let's not forget the importance of chemistry and mathematics in this role.
Yeah.
They might not be as glamorous as microscopes and all the, that high-tech equipment, but they're the backbone of textile analysis.
Can you give me an example? How do those skills come into play on like a daily basis?
Let's say you're working with dyes.
Yeah.
Understanding the chemical composition of those dyes and how they react to different factors,
Okay.
like sunlight, washing, or even, perspiration,
Oh, wow.
is essential for ensuring what we call color fastness. No one wants their favorite shirt to fade after just a few washes, right?
That's a great point. It's about understanding the science behind the aesthetics, right? Making sure that a fabric not only looks good, but it also performs well over time.
Right.
And RoleCatcher gave that a 69% importance rating. Now, I'm curious about the work environment itself. Are we talking sterile labs, bustling factories, or a mix of both?
Picture it more like a dynamic blend.
Okay.
You'll definitely spend a good chunk of time in a laboratory setting, right?
Yeah.
Conducting those detailed tests we discussed, tensile strength, color fastness, microscopic analysis.
Right.
However, don't imagine yourself tucked away in isolation.
Okay.
Textile quality technicians are anything but solitary creatures.
Oh, so who are they interacting with? I'm picturing like a lab full of test tubes and beakers, not exactly a bustling social scene.
You might be surprised. They're in constant communication with a really diverse group, from the textile engineers who are like, dreaming up these new fabric
Yeah.
innovations
Right.
to the production managers who are overseeing that entire manufacturing process.
Okay, that makes sense. They're the crucial link between the science of textiles and the actual creation of the products we use every day.
Precisely. So they might be explaining, a complex technical finding to a production manager,
Yeah.
making sure everyone understands the implications for manufacturing. Or they could be collaborating with those textile engineers on a new type of fabric,
Okay.
providing feedback on its performance, let's say, under stress tests.
Wow, so it's not just about being like a technical whiz, it's about being a strong communicator and collaborator too.
Absolutely. And that's where those, strong active listening skills come into play,
Yeah.
which RoleCatcher actually gave a 55% importance rating.
Okay.
A good textile quality technician needs to be able to listen carefully,
Right.
understand all those different perspectives, and communicate super effectively across teams.
It's like being a textile ambassador.
Right.
But let's switch gears a bit and talk about, the elephant in the room. Are there any downsides to this career path? RoleCatcher hints at a few.
Of course.
Yeah.
No job is without its challenges, right?
Yep.
One thing that RoleCatcher mentioned is that some of the work can be, a little repetitive.
Yeah.
You might find yourself conducting those same tests day in and day out, especially when you're first starting out.
I can see how that might not appeal to everyone, especially those who crave like constant variety in their work.
Exactly. And there's the aspect of deadlines. The textile industry, much like many others, operates on these tight schedules.
Right.
So a textile quality technician often needs to work efficiently, accurately under pressure.
That makes sense, especially if, a production line is depending on their analysis to keep moving forward. RoleCatcher gave monitoring a 55% importance rating,
Right.
which seems to, tie into that need for accuracy and attention to detail.
Precisely. Even a small oversight can have, significant downstream impacts. And let's not gloss over the less glamorous aspects either. Potential exposure to chemicals.
Right.
We're not talking about your average arts and crafts supplies here.
That's true. Working with textiles often means working with dyes, treatments, other chemicals that require, very careful handling and strict safety protocols.
Absolutely. Safety is paramount in this field. And a good textile quality technician is always vigilant, about following those proper procedures to protect themselves and their colleagues.
It sounds like this career path is best suited for someone who thrives in a fast-paced environment, has a meticulous eye for detail, and is really passionate about those safety standards.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, for those who are still intrigued, let's talk about, breaking into this field. What kind of education and experience do aspiring textile quality technicians typically need?
Well, RoleCatcher provides some really helpful benchmarks. While specific requirements can vary, depending on the employer, the specific role, a strong foundation in science and math is key.
Okay.
Most employers look for candidates with at least an associate's degree in a related field, like textile technology, material science, or even, chemistry.
So a solid understanding of the scientific principles behind textile production is crucial. What about practical experience? Is that something employers value in this field?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands-on experience is invaluable in this line of work. Many employers prefer candidates who have at least some laboratory experience,
Okay.
which is where internships or those co-op programs can really give aspiring technicians a real edge.
It's a chance to apply those textbook theories in a real world setting and gain those practical skills that you can't necessarily learn in a classroom. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground already, but I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the dynamic nature of this field. RoleCatcher seems to really emphasize the importance of continuous learning for textile quality technicians.
And for good reason. The textile industry is constantly evolving, right?
Yeah.
With new technologies, new materials emerging all the time.
Right.
A textile quality technician who isn't constantly learning and adapting risks, getting left behind.
So what does that continuous learning actually look like in practice? Are we talking about, hitting the books after a long day in the lab, or are there more engaging ways to stay ahead of the curve?
It's definitely not just about textbook learning. The best textile quality technicians I find are plugged into the industry in a variety of ways.
Okay.
Think attend industry conferences, workshops,
Yeah.
where they can kind of rub shoulders with fellow textile enthusiasts and learn about the latest innovations firsthand.
Oh, wow. I can imagine those conferences being a hotbed of textile talk.
Oh, yeah.
No materials, cutting-edge testing methods, the future of fabric.
Exactly. And let's not forget about just the wealth of knowledge that's available online,
Right.
right? And in those industry publications.
Right.
A good textile quality technician is always reading up on new research, emerging trends, and innovative testing techniques.
So it's about cultivating that insatiable curiosity, always asking questions, seeking out new information.
Precisely. And that commitment to, lifelong learning can really pay off because as a textile quality technician deepens their expertise, they become, even more valuable to their company.
Right.
A true asset to the team.
They become like the go-to expert, the one everyone turns to for answers about all things textile.
Right.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one final point that RoleCatcher highlighted, and that's, the potential career trajectory for textile quality technicians. Where can this path lead in terms of like advancement, specialization?
That's one of the exciting things about this field.
Okay.
It's not a dead end by any means.
Okay.
A textile quality technician who's really driven, ambitious, can, climb that ladder to become, let's say, a quality control manager,
Right.
overseeing an entire team of technicians.
So they move from like analyzing individual fabrics to actually shaping the quality standards for a whole organization.
Exactly. Or they could choose to specialize in a particular niche within, the textile industry, becoming a sought-after expert in that area.
What kind of specializations are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Well, with the, growing focus these days on sustainability,
Right.
a textile quality technician could become a specialist in, eco-friendly textile production,
Okay.
focusing on things like recycled materials, organic cotton, low-impact dyes.
Now, that's an area with like huge potential for growth. Consumers are becoming, increasingly conscious of the environmental impact of their clothing, their textiles in general.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, sustainability either. A textile quality technician could also specialize in a particular type of textile.
Yeah, okay.
Like, let's say, technical textiles used in aerospace or medical applications,
Wow.
or even like those performance fabrics for athletes.
So there's a whole world of possibilities within this one career path. That's pretty amazing.
It really is. It's a field that's constantly evolving,
Yeah.
which means there's always something new to learn, to explore. And for those who are really passionate about quality, innovation, and, just the future of textiles,
Right.
it's a really, really exciting time to be a textile quality technician.
It sounds like it. This deep dive has definitely given me a whole new perspective on this career path. It's so much more than just, checking seams and inspecting fabrics. It's about science, it's about problem solving, innovation, and even, a touch of artistry.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of textile quality technicians. We hope this episode has given you a clearer picture of this, fascinating and dynamic career path.
And who knows, maybe it's sparked an interest in someone listening who will go on to become, a leading expert in the field.
Wouldn't that be something? Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.